So I got this wedding invitation on a random Tuesday. Gold lettering, fancy cardstock, the whole deal. My brother was getting married in 8 months, and right away I noticed this line at the bottom in some elegant script. Adult-only celebration. Okay, fair enough. Child-free weddings are pretty common these days. My daughter's sick, so I figured I just needed to find a babysitter. No big deal. I called him the next day to confirm I got it and asked about the babysitter situation. He just kept repeating that it was child-free, word for word, like he was reading off a card or something. A little weird, but I let it go. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and the family group chat starts blowing up with wedding stuff. Then my future sister-in-law's sister posts photos of flower girl dresses asking which one looked better. I just stared at my phone for a solid minute. Flower girl dresses at a child-free wedding. I screenshotted it and sent it straight to my brother with a question mark. He didn't respond for hours. When he finally called, he said it was complicated. Turns out the wedding was child-free, except for kids in the bridal party and immediate family on her side. 4 kids total. 2 flower girls, the bride's nieces. 1 ring bearer, our cousin's kid, who we barely even see, and her nephew doing a reading during the ceremony. I asked him straight up why my daughter was excluded when 4 other kids were going to be there. He stumbled through some excuse about keeping numbers down and asked if I understood. I told him I didn't understand at all. 2 days later, his fiancée texted me directly. Long message about her dream wedding, wanting an elegant and sophisticated atmosphere. Said kids can be unpredictable and she just wanted to enjoy her day without any disruptions. I wrote back asking why that logic didn't apply to the 4 kids who were invited. She never responded. Then my mom got involved, which told me the fiancé had gone and complained about me being difficult. Mom gave me the whole speech about it being her special day and how we should all just be supportive. I reminded her that her granddaughter was being specifically left out while other kids were not just invited. They were featured in the ceremony. She said she'd talk to him about it. A few days later, my brother sent another text, longer this time. Basically said her family was covering most of the wedding costs, so they had final say on the guest list. The 4 kids who were included were either in the bridal party or their parents had contributed money towards specific parts of the wedding. He wrapped it up with, you know how it is. Yeah, I knew exactly how it was. I told him I wouldn't be attending a wedding that treated my daughter as less than other kids. He came back with some version of, "Don't be like that." That just made it worse. My cousin called me after seeing the group chat post. She has 2 kids, 4 and 8 years old, both excluded. She had no clue other kids were even going to be there until I told her. We talked for over an hour, and by the end of it, she was just as angry as I was. After that, I started making calls. Reached out to my uncle. 3 grandkids, none of them invited. Called family friends who've known my brother since he was a little kid. I wanted to know how wide this thing actually went. The more people I talked to, the clearer the picture got. At least 12 kids from our extended family and friend circle were banned from this wedding, while the bride's family kids were literally walking down the aisle. I put together a group chat with everyone I'd spoken to. 8 families total. I shared everything. The screenshots, the conversations with my brother and his fiancée, all of it. People started comparing notes, and the disrespect was consistent across the board. Every single one of them had been told it was a child-free wedding. Meanwhile, the bride's family kids weren't just attending, they were participating. My uncle went and confronted my brother directly about it, and my brother actually admitted it. His fiancée had insisted on only having kids from her side at the wedding. She thought it looked better for photos to only feature her family's children. My uncle told him that was incredibly messed up and that he needed to grow a spine. I met up with my cousin and 2 other relatives for coffee. We talked everything through and made a decision right there at that table. None of us were going to the wedding. I texted my brother to decline, kept it short and simple, said I wouldn't be attending and hoped he had a nice day. He tried calling me multiple times in a row. I kept hitting decline. Every single time. Then my cousin officially declined her invitation. Then my uncle and his wife pulled out. Yes, then another cousin. 2 family friends after that. It just started snowballing. My brother sent me this desperate message asking if I'd reconsider if they made a special exception just for my daughter. I asked him if that exception would extend to all the other excluded kids too. He said no. Too many children. I told him we had nothing left to talk about. If he was willing to bend the rules for one kid, he could bend them for all of them. Or just have an actual child-free wedding with 0 kids. Simple as that. I found out later that 10 families had officially declined by that point. That's roughly 35 people pulled from a guest list of 180. Most of them from our side of the family. My brother was having a full meltdown because it was throwing off his seating charts and messing up the catering numbers. Then the bride sent me another message, called me a manipulative witch who couldn't handle not being the center of attention. Said I was weaponizing my daughter to ruin her special day. I responded with one line. Told her she banned a 6-year-old from a family wedding while inviting other 6-year-olds and that I didn't weaponize anything. She created this entire situation herself. About a month before the wedding, I started hearing through various people that they were scrambling. Even more families had declined since those first 10, and at that point, it wasn't just about the kids anymore. People were watching how they handled everything. The lying about it being child-free, the way they responded on social media, the nasty messages. And were deciding they just didn't want any part of it. On the day of the wedding, I took my daughter to an amusement park. Best decision I ever made. She had absolutely no idea she'd been excluded from anything. She's 6 years old. Why would she know or care about a wedding she'd never even been told about? She just knew she got to spend a fun day with her dad, riding roller coasters and eating overpriced theme park food. We spent the whole day there, stopped for ice cream on the way home, and finished the night watching movies on the couch together. It was perfect. Simple, drama-free, and exactly what we both needed. That morning, I'd muted all the family chats. Didn't want to see wedding photos or updates or congratulation messages. I just wanted one peaceful day with my kid. The next day, I unmuted everything. My phone started buzzing immediately. I opened the family chat and started scrolling. Absolute chaos. Apparently, things had gone pretty sideways at the wedding. The ceremony was scheduled for late afternoon, and guests started arriving early. And that's when people began noticing the problem. The bride's side of the venue was completely packed. The groom's side was noticeably sparse. Out of roughly 90 people from our side who had RSVP'd, only about 40 actually showed up. Most of them were older relatives who either hadn't followed the drama or just didn't care about it. The ceremony started 15 minutes late. Multiple people told me my brother looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. The bride looked furious from the moment she walked down the aisle and saw how empty his side was. The 4 approved children did their flower girl and ring bearer duties. All very cute. All very obviously from only one side of the family. Then, during the cocktail hour, things escalated. There was an aunt who had sided with me throughout the whole situation. She'd RSVP'd yes weeks before everything blew up and decided she'd still go, which was her call, except she showed up with her 3 grandkids in tow. Just walked right into that reception like it was the most normal thing in the world. The wedding coordinator came over and told her the children needed to leave. My aunt looked around at the 4 kids already running around the venue and asked why. The coordinator tried to explain that those children were on the approved list and hers were not. My aunt said that sounded like discrimination to her, and she wasn't removing her grandchildren while other kids got to be part of the celebration. The bride found out and completely lost it. Started screaming at my aunt in front of other guests. Called her disrespectful and entitled. Said she was ruining the wedding. My aunt didn't move an inch. She told the bride that the wedding was already ruined the moment she decided some children were worthy of attending and others weren't. Then my brother tried to step in and mediate. It went terribly. The bride demanded he kick my aunt and the kids out immediately. He hesitated, probably because it was his own aunt, and he knew exactly how bad it would look to physically remove family members from a wedding reception. And that hesitation just made the bride even angrier. My aunt took that moment and made an announcement to everyone nearby. said loudly that she was leaving because apparently her grandchildren weren't good enough for this family celebration. Then she walked out with all three kids. Several other people got up and left with her, just pushed back their chairs and walked straight out. No scene, no argument, just gone. That's apparently when the real exodus started. More people began trickling out after that. Some made a point of it, others just quietly excused themselves and slipped away. By the time dinner service was supposed to start, the groom's side had lost about a dozen more people. The wedding coordinator was scrambling to reorganize tables and update the catering count on the fly. Multiple guests told me later that the energy in that room was just completely off. Tense, uncomfortable, like everyone was waiting for the next thing to go wrong. During the toast, the bride made passive-aggressive comments about real family and people who show up when it matters. They still did the first dance, the cake cutting, all the usual reception stuff. But people kept leaving early throughout the night, quietly filtering out one by one. They had planned and paid for 180 guests. By the time the reception was supposed to be in full swing, maybe 100 people were still there. And honestly, half of those looked like they were just waiting for a polite moment to leave without making it obvious. The reception was supposed to run until midnight. They shut everything down before 11. The venue was practically empty. All that money, all that planning, for a party that ended hours early because people just couldn't get out of there fast enough. Then I heard they postponed their honeymoon. They were supposed to leave for 2 weeks in Europe, but pushed it back because they were too upset about how the wedding went and wanted to deal with the family fallout first. Good luck with that. The whole thing was so avoidable. Either make it actually child-free, 0 kids, full stop, or invite all the children from both families. Don't cherry-pick which kids are acceptable based on which side of the family they come from. And don't tell people it's a child-free wedding when what you really mean is it's free of the specific children you've decided you don't want there. Some people accuse me of orchestrating the whole boycott, of manipulating everyone into not showing up. That's not remotely what happened. I shared facts with people who had questions, and they made their own decisions based on what I told them. Turns out when you treat people and their kids poorly, those people don't really feel like celebrating with you. Revolutionary concept, apparently. My daughter had no idea any of this happened. As far as she was concerned, she'd just had a fantastic weekend at the amusement park with her dad. That was it. That was all that mattered to me. She was happy, she felt loved, and she had absolutely no idea that people who were supposed to be family had decided she was somehow less worthy than other children. That's the part that sticks with me most. About a week after my last post, the bride launched what I can only describe as a full-on campaign against me. She went completely nuclear on social media, started posting screenshots of old text conversations between us, heavily edited all the context that made her look bad conveniently removed. Multiple posts about toxic family members destroying her happiness, the whole thing. It backfired spectacularly. People started asking questions in the comments. Why were there 4 kids at a child-free wedding? Why were only kids from your side allowed? This doesn't make you look good. She started deleting comments, then entire posts. Within 24 hours, everything was gone. The money situation got ugly too. When you plan a wedding for 180 people, you pay for 180 people. Caterers lock in that final count weeks in advance. They ended up paying for roughly 80 meals that nobody ate. Centerpieces on tables that sat empty all night. Favors that went home with the venue staff instead of guests. Someone close to their finances told me they were out around $15,000 just from no-shows. The bride decided that was my fault and I should cover it. She messaged me from a different number demanding I reimburse them for every guest who didn't show up because of me. Said I deliberately sabotaged their wedding and owed them compensation. They did eventually go on their honeymoon, made it 4 days into a 2-week trip to Europe before coming home early. Someone who knows the bride's family told me they fought the entire time. About the wedding, about the money, about whose fault everything was. Spent thousands of dollars to be miserable in a different country, then came back even worse off than before. My brother tried reaching out again through yet another new number. Asked if we could talk about everything. I told him no. He said I owed him the chance to explain his side. I told him I didn't owe him anything and blocked that number immediately. There's nothing he could say at this point that would change anything. And now, from what I'm hearing, the marriage is already falling apart. They apparently fight constantly. The bride blames him for not controlling his family and preventing the whole disaster. My brother resents being put in a position where he had to choose between his wife and literally every person he's known his entire life. That's where things stand. And here's the thing: massive debt, total family alienation, and starting a marriage in the middle of a full-blown crisis is not exactly a recipe for success. Shocking, I know. Here's the part that actually made me laugh out loud. The bride's own family started turning on her. Her aunt, the one whose kids were literally in the wedding, told her directly that she was wrong about the selective kid ban, said it made their entire family look elitist and awful, and that she should have either banned all children or allowed all of them. The bride did not take that well. Huge fight. Now she's not speaking to her own aunt either, the same aunt whose kids she handpicked for her ceremony. And the aunt from our side, the one who walked out with her grandkids, has gone full petty mode, and honestly, I'm here for every second of it. She organized a massive family barbecue, invited around 50 people from our extended family, and sent invitations to everyone except my brother and his wife. They found out about it through social media posts from people who attended. The bride apparently had another complete meltdown about being excluded from a family event. My mom finally came around too. Fully. She admitted she was wrong to try staying neutral, and said she should have stood up for her granddaughter from the very beginning. Said watching how everything played out made her ashamed of herself. She didn't just take my side either. She stopped talking to my brother entirely after he blamed her for not forcing me to attend the wedding. Then the photo situation blew up. The bride wanted to either completely retake their wedding photos or pay thousands for extensive editing to remove or hide all the empty spaces on the groom's side. My brother said absolutely not. They were already drowning in wedding debt. They had a massive fight about it that their neighbors definitely heard through the walls. The bride accused him of not caring about preserving their memories. He told her the memories are what they are and photoshopping them won't change reality. He wasn't wrong about that one. My brother's childhood friends have all distanced themselves too. The one who messaged me after the wedding wasn't the only one. At least 3 others have basically cut contact with him. These are guys he's known for over 20 years. They watched him let his wife treat family members and their children like they were less than. They watched him lie about the child-free wedding. They watched him blame everyone else for consequences he created. They want nothing to do with either of them now. And the bride's reputation? At this point, it's completely destroyed. Even the people who initially defended her have backed away. Her own family is embarrassed by how she handled everything. Our family wants nothing to do with her. And her friend group has apparently shrunk considerably because people just don't want to be attached to that kind of drama. My aunt's barbecue wasn't a one-time thing either. She's organized 3 more family events since then. My brother and his wife weren't invited to a single one. She's basically built a whole new family social circle that deliberately leaves them out. And most of the families who went through all this are right there participating. It's petty. And I am absolutely here for every bit of it. The financial stress is tearing them apart. They fight about money constantly. Between the no-show costs, the whole photographer situation, and just general overspending on the wedding itself, they're starting their married life already buried in serious debt. That's a rough place to be when you're also fighting about everything else. My daughter is still completely oblivious to all of it. She's 7 now. She has no idea she was ever excluded from anything or that any of this even happened. She just knows she has family around her who love her and put her first, and that's really all that matters. This is my final update on the whole thing. My daughter is happy and loved. The family members worth keeping are still in my life. And the trash, it took itself out and stayed out. Honestly, that's the best possible outcome I could have asked for.